Bueno, muy buenas tardes para todos y para todas. Les damos la bienvenida a nuestra sesión informativa del día de hoy en el marco de nuestra línea de eventos con todas las universidades de convenio. Estamos en esta ocasión con Savannah College of Art and Design, SCAD, ubicada en Estados Unidos para todos aquellos interesados en materializar y realizar su proyecto académico y profesional en este destino tan popular y que tiene sin duda alguna grandes experiencias por ofrecerles. Mi nombre, mucho gusto, es Karen Martínez, hago parte del equipo de Relaciones Internacionales y Consejería Académica de Colfuturo y el día de hoy estoy muy bien acompañada con Peter May y Meg Graham. Ellos son representantes de SCAD y les van a ayudar a ustedes a brindarles muchísima información con respecto a oferta académica, a opciones de hospedaje, bueno, toda la información relativa a la universidad y a los diferentes programas que a ustedes les pueda ser de utilidad en este momento y espacio. Y por otro lado, también nos acompaña María Clara. Ella es beneficiaria de Colfuturo del año 2024 y actualmente se encuentra realizando un Master of Sound Design en SCAD. Así que la idea es que también le puedan preguntar cualquier cosa relacionada a su vida como estudiante en este país y en esta institución académica y puedan solucionar todas las inquietudes que tengan al respecto. Les recuerdo una vez más, estos son los espacios ideales para que ustedes puedan generar un acercamiento muchísimo más próximo a las instituciones académicas de su interés, así que la invitación es a que dejen todas sus preguntas en el cajón de Q&A y con muchísimo gusto al finalizar la sesión vamos a poderlas resolver. En términos muy amplios, les quiero contar en qué consiste el convenio de Colfuturo con SCAD y es que la universidad ofrecerá una beca de hasta de $15,000 para beneficiarios con un GPA entre 3,8 y 4 y una beca de $10,000 para los beneficiarios con un GPA entre 3,45 y 3,79 sobre 4. Entonces, para todos los interesados, una vez más, resuelvan todas sus dudas a través de ese espacio. Y Peter y Meg, thank you so much for being here today with us. We are so happy to have you here. You can go ahead and start your presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And it's wonderful to have you join us today. And I'm joined with Meg Graham, who is the Senior Associate Director of Admission for SCAD. And then we're also lucky to have Maria, who is a alumni of SCAD, who is still in the US, I believe, working. Just to give you an idea of what to expect today, I'm going to do a presentation where you'll learn about SCAD, the admission process, as well as our scholarships. Then I'll turn it over to Maria to share her story. And following that, we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers. So thank you again for joining. I'm going to just share my screen and start the presentation. And there are some videos in the presentation. If for some reason they're choppy and they don't come across well, if someone could just let me know and we can skip over those. But otherwise, I'd love for you to see them. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen, start the show. And we'll start off with a video introducing you to SCAD, and then I'll follow up and share more information.
To me, SCAD is the catalyst of potential for myself and for the people around me.
You have this wonderland that is SCAD, where you have all these resources to execute your wildest dreams.
SCAD to me is this pot of gold of inspiration.
SCAD is where the future of all creative industries is reimagined. Our graduates not only know how to excel in their industries, but they know how to innovate and create change.
Our students are able to shoot in locations they have never been able to access. With the 2 LED volumes, we're training our students on this environment so they can lead the conversations in this industry.
I had never seen anything like that before. It's really just the foundation of how to build a business and how to be an entrepreneur.
SCAD is where creativity knows no bounds. It's where imagination and passion come together to inspire and innovate.
The resources are endless. As a student, I really took advantage of those resources to absorb as much knowledge as I could.
SCAD definitely is the best place to be. I'm on my way to my dream career because of SCAD.
When I first came to SCAD, I was absolutely amazed by the energy and the positivity. It creates energy in those who become involved in it.
SCAD is a lifelong institution. You're part of this school for the rest of your life. The wondrous resources that are available to you is phenomenal.
Okay, so SCAD actually has 4 locations. Our two main campuses are located in the United States in Savannah and Atlanta, Georgia, but we also have a location in Lacoste, France, which is in the south of France, and we have online classes as well. For those of you who are not familiar, Atlanta and Savannah are both located in the state of Georgia, which is in the southeast US, just north of Florida. Savannah is a beautiful historic city. It's a vacation destination for people from all over the United States and all over the world. And it's located near the coast, so not far from the Atlantic Ocean. Atlanta, on the other hand, is a big metropolis, 6 million people or so, and a lot of Fortune 100 companies are headquartered there. So it's more of a big city kind of life. And then Lacoste is our study abroad location. So in Lacoste, you wouldn't start or complete all of your studies there, but you may have the opportunity to go there for 1/4 of your studies if the classes that you need line up with what they're offering. It has a rotating curriculum. The thing that's cool about SCAD is that once you're accepted to all of these locations, so you can change campuses whenever you want, as long as the classes that you're needing in your program are offered at the next campus. And most of our programs are offered in both Savannah and Atlanta. I have another video that is sort of shows the locations. I heard the last one was a little bit lagging, so let's see how this one goes. We'll just watch, and if it's lagging too much, I'll skip over it.
SCAD is a global experience. When you're accepted to SCAD, you're accepted to all our locations. Experience SCAD among the Fortune 100 companies in Atlanta, where every career and creative venture thrives. Find inspiration in the historic streets around SCAD Savannah, or learn online from anywhere in the world through SCAD Now.
SCAD is one of my favorite places here in Atlanta. Students here get a very special experience that will prepare them in ways that others are not prepared for being in the industry.
I was able to find my career path and myself, as well as a family, during my time at SCAD and in Savannah.
You can also experience the beauty of southern France in Lacoste during a 1/4 abroad.
SCAD has created a beautiful world here. One finds or fine-tunes their process. It is an honor and a privilege for me to be able to spend some time meeting all these amazing students who are our future.
You can start your studies anywhere you choose, then seamlessly study at any other SCAD location, any 1/4.
They have so much potential to change the world. They're going to impact whatever community they're in.
Wherever your SCAD education takes you, you customize your path and your creative career.
Okay, so SCAD is actually it's actually the largest arts and design university now in the US, with 18,500 students across these different locations. You won't be alone when you're there. About 21% of our students are international students. The rest are domestic students. But within the international, we have more than 100 different nationalities. So we have students really from all over the world. It's quite a diverse student body. We do have, of course, undergraduate programs as well as graduate programs. So about 3/4 of the students are in undergrad programs, and about 1/4 of the students are in grad programs. We have small class sizes. It says here that there's one professor for every 20 students in a class, which is true, but in graduate programs, it's a little lower than that. So there's usually around 14 to 16 or so students in each of your classes when you take classes in SCAD. In addition to being the largest in terms of numbers of students, we're also the largest in the US in terms of numbers of programs that we offer. So we have more than 43 different majors. Not all of these are offered at grad programs, but most of them are. The other thing that's very exciting is that some of these programs are actually considered STEM programs. So as you know, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math, and you may not normally consider an art and design or creative fields as being STEM, but there's a lot of integration now with technology and also in some cases math and creative studies, to the point now that 28 of those 43 majors are recognized by the US government as being STEM because there's so much technology built in and or so much math built in. The advantage for you as an international student, if you graduate with one of the STEM majors, you can work for longer in the US. So regardless of what your major of study is, the student visa that you would come on to study in the United States allows you to stay and work in the United States for up to 12 months. This is called OPT, or optional practical training. If you happen to graduate with one of those STEM majors, you can have the possibility of extending that by 24 months for a total of 36 months or 3 years of working in the US on your student visa. So that would be true whether you do a 1-year master's program or a 2-year or 3-year master's program. It's just as long as you are graduating with one of those STEM majors. But again, everyone is eligible for 12 months of OPT. Now, we have several different master's degrees that we offer, and there's a little bit of difference between each one, so I just wanted to outline some of those differences. Almost all of our programs offer the Master of Arts and the Master of Fine Arts. And then there's some specialized programs that offer, of course, the Master of Architecture, which is only for architecture. And we have a degree called the Master of Business Innovation, which is really for our creative business programs. So going back to the MA and the MFA, the Master of Arts and the Master of Fine Arts, the key differences are as follows. The MA you can complete in 1 year, depending on your scheduling. It could take longer if you decide to take fewer classes per quarter or take an internship instead of classes in a quarter, but theoretically you could complete in a year. I believe Maria, when she shares later, will tell you about how she completed in 1 year. The Master of Fine Arts requires 18 classes to complete. So that will take you at least 2 years, but most students it takes around 2.5 years or up to 3 years. And again, that depends on the scheduling. Now, they're both master's degrees. And so they'll both, for either one, when you create your resume or your CV later on, you can indicate that you have a master's degree. The MFA is considered the terminal degree for almost all of our majors, meaning it's the highest level degree that you can get in that field. Very often, it's not very common in the United States to be able to go on to get a PhD in creative fields. For example, I've never heard of any programs where you can get a PhD in graphic design or a PhD in animation. Usually the highest level of degree that you can get in a creative field is the MFA. So it's the highest level of degree, and it also allows you most of the time, if you want to teach at a university level, they would require an MFA. Other than that, it's really just a matter of going deeper into your subject and having a longer final project. So at the end of the MA, you'll do an MA final project. At the end of the MFA, you'll do what's called an MFA thesis, which is just more of an in-depth final project that you do on your own. So those are the basic differences. Depending on the program, we can sort of dive into some of the more specific differences, and I'd be happy to answer those questions later. But this just gives you a general idea of the types of degrees that you have to choose from for our graduate study. Now, SCAD is very highly ranked, and I'll share some of the rankings here. But as you can imagine, because we have so many programs, a lot of our programs are ranked by different entities. So every year, these rankings kind of change and shift around as different organizations, associations, magazines, professional associations, and so on rate our different programs. So make sure to go, if ratings are something that are interesting to you, make sure to look at that page on our website by looking up SCAD rankings and ratings, and see what your program of interest is ranked as. What I think is actually a more important number and a more impressive number is this one, which is our employment rate. 99% of our students within 12 months of graduating are either working or they've gone on to higher study. So obviously that includes undergraduate students, but 99% of our students are essentially working within 1 year after they graduate with our master's programs. And we invest a lot of resources into making sure to get that number. We're very interested in making sure that all of our students are getting great jobs, not just in the US, but also back home. So if you have a professional aspiration to work in your field, we're going to devote a lot of resources into that. And I'd say this is one of the key things that really separates us from other schools that offer some similar programs, is the amount of resources that we invest into your career, finding your dream career. Now, we do this in a lot of different ways. I'll highlight a few of the ways, but there's many more things that we do in order to accomplish that goal. The first thing to know is that hundreds of companies are coming to SCAD every week throughout the year. So over the course of the year, hundreds will visit, but every week there'll be companies visiting. They'll be conducting presentations about their company, or they'll even be conducting interviews for students for internships or for postgraduate jobs. So you always have the opportunity to connect with companies on campus. In addition to that, we have career fairs at both our Atlanta and our Savannah campus. This is where companies will be invited in to meet you, and you may have the opportunity to show your work and share your work with that company. And these are companies that are looking for jobs, looking for students to work. In addition to those traditional career fairs, we have a very cool industry collaboration program called SCAD Pro. So this is essentially, instead of doing an internship off campus, which you can do and are encouraged to do during your studies, what we will do is actually invite companies to come to campus and work with our professors and our students on a project for that company. So a company, for example, like Delta Airlines may come in and say, we need some help with our uniform. Can you put together a dream team of creatives to help us redesign one aspect of our uniform? And I'm not just making this up. This is an actual SCAD Pro project that happened. Delta came to us and said, we just redesigned all our uniforms, but our flight attendants, our gate agents, they're not wearing the scarf. They say it's uncomfortable and it doesn't close right, so it keeps falling off. Can you help us redesign it? So we put together a dream team, not just the fashion design students, but also industrial design students, to redesign the scarf and the clasping mechanism for the Delta Airlines uniform. At the end of that, they actually selected some of the students' projects, and they implemented that. So now when you fly Delta Airlines, you're actually going to see a scarf and a clasping mechanism that was designed by SCAD students. We do hundreds of these collaborations over the years, and they've led to a lot of students being offered jobs, but even beyond the direct hires that have come out of it, it looks great on your resume because you may work on this creative project that actually goes into market, and be able to put that on your resume or your CV and have that real world work experience. There's so many different examples I could give. There's a few that are listed here, but I could go on and on. I mean, in the top left corner of the picture, you'll see a sneaker design project. We had students design sneakers that are now being sold worldwide. If you look down kind of to the middle and the right, you'll see Uber there. Uber asked us to design some concept cars for they have this idea for flying cars that fly between the tops of buildings using drone technology. Perhaps this is the future of taxis, and they wanted to see what they were looked like. So we did some imaging for them, including a video of what it would look like from a customer perspective, walking into the waiting area for these drone taxis and then actually getting into one and seeing what the interior looks like. So again, these are students that are pulled in from lots of different majors, a dream team, so to speak. We had interior design students, game design students, industrial design students working on that particular project. And that was something that was an actual project for Uber. But again, we have hundreds of these, so you'll have the opportunity to participate in these as well. Very cool. I did want to make sure to highlight Maria Garcia because she's actually from Colombia. She lives in Bogota still, but her job is she was a production design major, and her job is she is the art director for the halftime show at the Super Bowl. So for example, if you saw Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl this year, she did the art direction for that performance. Not just that one, but she's been doing this for years. So she did Beyonce, she did Rihanna. She has some hilarious stories about Rihanna and Katy Perry that she'll be happy to tell you if you get a chance to meet her. And she's actually won an Emmy for her work. She wanted to live in Colombia. She didn't want to live in the US. So she got this job and she absolutely loves it, but she's able to work most of the year remotely. And then obviously for many weeks in the year, she'll travel up to the US to wherever the Super Bowl is being held that year to work on the set design and oversee the project. But most of the time she's working from her apartment in Bogota, doing the drawings and coming up with the concepts. So just, again, I always want to share about her because she's a delightful person and an alumni that we're quite proud of. So let me share one more video that highlights some of the creative careers that our students are doing, and we'll go on from there.
My time at SCAD was integral to who I am today. SCAD more than prepared me for my future job.
The teaching philosophy here at SCAD is learn now what you need for the future.
Every classroom is mirrored on what is happening currently in industry. We truly believe this is what a classroom looks like, that step for our students will be seamless when they step in industry.
We've worked with Coca-Cola, we've worked with Porsche, Deloitte, BMW. The list is really endless when it comes to the experiences and collaborations our students have had the opportunity to work with.
We're learning actively from people who have been in the industry, and we're getting hands-on experience.
My education at SCAD put me leaps and bounds above my peers.
Get this creative education, but also be in this beautiful environment, to me is so inspiring.
I wish I had gone to SCAD. I'm fascinated by it. It's an endless series of delights.
You are free to stretch your creative muscles and do anything that comes to your mind. The students are so lucky to have all this here.
SCAD has always been a lifelong experience. For our alums, we provide programs to help our graduates build successful businesses, reconnect with fellow alums, and use SCAD resources to launch their dream projects.
After we graduate, we get an opportunity to come back. SCAD fosters that. I'm just really proud to be a part of that.
SCAD's done a great job of supporting their alumni. We appreciate it so much.
SCAD, it's a tree of innovators, of visionaries, of talented individuals that supports one another to develop the future.
Thank you to SCAD for providing me all the different avenues to be a success in the things that I love.
After graduation, we're going to New York and work for Google,
Nike,
Netflix,
BMW, CBS Sports,
IBM.
We're going to Disney!
So I do want to highlight that, at the end there, you saw a lot of companies being listed, and a lot of these are international companies that have offices around the world. So again, if your goal is to return to Colombia or to go to another company, we're also offering resources to follow that dream as well. So I've talked a little bit about the programs the school and the careers. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about what it's like to live there. We have accommodations on all of our campuses. So on the top left, you'll see these are actually residence halls in SCAD Atlanta. And the top right, our newest residence hall in SCAD Savannah, and some pictures of what those might look like on the inside. These are all pictures just from SCAD Atlanta of the residence halls there, as well as our theater and our, one of our swimming pools. So it's kind of like living in a country club. There's quite a lot of resources. It's a fun place to live. You don't have to live on campus, but if you did want to live on campus, there's quite a lot of options to choose from. And on our website, we have the floor plans. Obviously, there's some situations where you may share a room with a roommate, or there's also single rooms for graduate students. So that's also an option to have a single room or a single apartment. There's dining facilities in both campuses. There's several options. So there's not just one cafeteria. You'll have options to choose from. Some of them are specialized. For example, we have an Asian restaurant in Savannah. In Atlanta, we often have like food trucks and things like that, as well as some fresh markets where you can pick up your, some snacks and coffees and things like that. Just to go back, the meal plans living on campus, these are all optional, but these are resources that are available for you if you want. A lot of students decide also to live independently off campus, which is totally fine. SCAD operates on both Atlanta and Savannah campuses, bus service. So these are free shuttles for students that rotate between academic buildings to food, the cafeterias and so on, as well as on weekends, they'll go out to shopping centers, to parks and so on. So you don't have to have a car on campus. A lot of students in Savannah choose to use bikes. We've actually currently paused the bike share program, I believe, but it could be starting up at any time. But usually we would have a bike share service, but there are also, those e-bikes and things like that available in Savannah and Atlanta that you can activate, as well as the scooters and so on. My point is that you don't have to have a car if you're studying at either campus, depending on where you decide to live. If you're located near the campus, you can easily get around with the SCAD shuttles, with bicycles, and so on. Now, I know that there's a lot of stories out there in the news, and sometimes people coming in from outside of the US are worried about safety, which is a valid concern. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, and I do have one video that I'll share about campus safety. But one of the things that we offer, which I really like, is we have a program called Safe Ride, which essentially means that the program is that wherever you are out in the city, if you need a ride back to campus, back to your dorm room or to your apartment, you can call a 24-hour number. Our security will send out a Safe Ride to pick you up and get you back home, no questions asked. So it's just a service. It's completely free. It's a service that we offer to our students to make sure that they're always in safe situations. But there's a lot more that we do for campus safety. So I'm going to share this next video. And then this is the last video. I'll go on from there and start to talk about the application.
Student safety is a top priority at SCAD. We have designed a dynamic safety program that pairs skilled staff with innovative technology, so you'll be comfortable in all university buildings, getting to and from class and traveling around the city. With the SCAD Department of University Safety, our students have a direct line to security officers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. The SCAD B-Line is a free, convenient, and safe bus service operating every day for SCAD students. For added security, officers are always on site, monitoring and patrolling the buildings to ensure everyone makes it to their destination. One app turns your mobile phone into a personal safety device. Engage in a live chat with the Department of University Safety Officer with LiveSafe App Chat. Are you meeting with friends? Check in with SafeWalk. SafeWalk allows you to share your location with a friend until you safely arrive. Are you working late on your final project? Call SCAD Safe Ride, a late-night transportation shuttle service exclusively serving SCAD Bs with valid IDs from SCAD buildings to off-campus residences in Savannah and Atlanta. No matter the location, the SCAD Department of University Safety is committed to creating a safe and respectful environment where you can be creative, live, and thrive.
Okay, so the other thing I'd like to share is that SCAD will provide health insurance for you as well as support for you in case of emergency. We always are there to help you find where to go to the doctor, and then also because we provide insurance for all of our international students, we'll be able to support you as you make claims. So you will be covered with health insurance while you study with us. We have a program called Be Well that's focused on mental health. There's a lot of resources there. We have including free counseling for all of our students. And then we have SCAD Fit, which is essentially our fitness centers. I have some pictures of them here, but essentially if you want to go to the gym, go for a swim, we've got these located at both of our campuses. There's a lot of free classes like yoga and Pilates that you can take if that's something you're interested in. These are all free, as well as there's recreational sports that you can participate in. So if I've sold you and you're ready to start an application, let me just go ahead and explain the process in terms of how to apply, and then also how to be considered for these scholarships that we offer. So the first step is really just to submit an application form. So you can do that very easily on our website. At the top of every page, you'll see an apply button, or you can navigate directly there either through this URL or through the QR code. And don't worry, you don't have to have any documents ready when you start this process. When you go to that apply form, you're essentially just completing an application form with your basic information. So we want to know, who you are, what program you're interested in, which campus you would like to start on, those kinds of things. And then you submit that, and that just allows us to connect with you. So we're going to connect with you in two different ways. First, we'll have an admission advisor assigned to you, and they will reach out to you to introduce themselves, usually by email, but it could be also by WhatsApp. And they're happy then to help walk you through step by step the process in terms of which documents you need to submit to complete your application. And then the second way, we invite you to actually connect with the school through social media. That's a great way to follow us and find out about different events and important information, as well as to, alumni stories and current student stories and so on. So we're very active at all of the major social media. At the end of all of this, you'll complete your application, and I'll go into the documents in a second, but you'll complete your application, and that's when we'll send it up to review from the faculty, and they'll make a decision on whether or not you're accepted, as well as the scholarships. So let's get into more details about what's included in the documents section, which again, you don't need any documents when you start the process by completing that application form. So the first thing to note is that SCAD has rolling admission, which means that you can start your application anytime, and there's no deadlines. Now, with that said, I do recommend that you plan to start at least 6 months before you plan to come. That will just give you time to complete the application process. It will give you time for the visa process. And then if you're applying for COLFUTURO, it will give you time to complete that process as well. But you can complete any time. You just, in the application form, you'll select the start quarter, the time that you would like to start your studies. At SCAD, you can start anytime 4 quarters per year. So you can start in September, January, March, or June. Most of our students start in September because that's the academic calendar that we follow, but you don't have to start in September. We can schedule your classes for you to start even if you want to start in January or March or June, for example. So the documents that you'll need, and again, your admission advisor will help you explain all of these for you and help you to understand. You will need your transcripts, your undergraduate transcripts. Now, if you're still completing your last years of undergraduate study, no problem. You can send in what you have so far, and we can usually make an admission decision on that as long as you're expected to graduate. In addition to the original transcripts, we may need an English translation if the original was not issued in English. There's proof of English proficiency. I'm going to skip over that and come back to it in a minute because it's actually not required, and I'll explain why it's not required in a second. So there's the transcripts, a portfolio. These are major specific for graduate programs, and we have a whole page on our website that's descriptions of the different portfolio guidelines depending on which program you're applying for. We'll need a resume or CV. We'll need a statement of purpose. This is just your motivation letter, basically. And then we'll need 2 to 3 letters of recommendation. These should usually come from either professors, teachers, or bosses, supervisors, places that you've worked professionally, or teachers that you've worked with, someone that can speak to your work. Now, I skipped over proof of English. We don't require any particular English level in order to review you for admission and review you for scholarships. We have a full ESL program at SCAD. So if your English level is low, or if you haven't taken a standardized test like TOEFL or IELTS, you can still apply. It just means when you come to school, we'll give you an English assessment, and depending on your level, you may be placed into ESL or English classes that you might have to take before or alongside your academic classes. That will all depend on your level. Now, if you want to go directly into your academic classes, you can submit a TOEFL or an IELTS score. For TOEFL, we require an 85, and for IELTS, we require a 6.5, and then there's some sectional requirements as well. So once we have all of these documents, we'll send all of that to the faculty to begin their review. They'll review you, and within a few weeks, we'll have an answer for you, whether you're admitted or not. If you're admitted, we will send you a congratulations letter, and you'll also then learn about your scholarships. Now, I do want to add, there's some gray area between, so 2 possible outcomes are that you're admitted outright or that you're not admitted, right? But there's another kind of outcome that happens to some students in the middle, which is that you could be admitted, but the faculty may decide that they want to assign an additional class or 2 or 3, depending on your portfolio. For example, maybe you want to apply for interactive design and game development, but they haven't seen enough 3D modeling in your portfolio, and they think that you need to know 3D modeling in order to be eligible for that program. So they may assign a class or 2 in 3D modeling that you have to take in addition to the master's program classes. So that's just an outcome that happens for some students. I don't know if it will happen to you if you apply, but I just wanted to say that there is hope for you to be accepted to one of these majors, even if you don't have all the skills outlined in the portfolio. It just may mean that you have to take additional classes. The other thing to note, I would say, for all of our majors, with the exception of architecture, and in some cases interior design, you can study anything for undergraduate. You don't have to have a related undergraduate degree to go into any of these majors. You do have to have some experience and skills in that area, which is why we ask for a portfolio, but you don't have to have studied something related. So for example, let's say you're interested in illustration as your graduate studies, but as an undergraduate major, you studied history. That's okay as long as you have a strong illustration portfolio. Now, I mentioned that if you complete all of these things and you're accepted, that you may be offered scholarships that will come with your acceptance letter. COLFUTURO has outlined, we have an arrangement with them to offer a minimum scholarship just based on your GPA. Those would fall under the academic scholarships. So again, those are automatic as part of our agreement if you're a COLFUTURO recipient. We also have achievement scholarships. Achievement scholarships are based on your letters of recommendation, your portfolio, your resume, your statement of purpose. Basically, we're looking for your creative skills and your professional experience. Now, let's say you apply for COLFUTURO, but you're not one of the lucky ones who are selected. You can still be accepted to SCAD. You'll still be considered for academic scholarships. We do have normal academic scholarships as well, aside from the ones that are guaranteed for COLFUTURO recipients. So I wanted to share that's the basic information about the application process. Make sure to take down my contact information and reach out to me anytime. If you're more comfortable asking questions in Spanish, I'll absolutely connect you with one of my colleagues who speaks Spanish fluently. At the end of this, we'll have time for questions. But right now, I'd like to actually turn it over to Maria to introduce her. She is a SCAD alumni. I'm going to leave this up for just 1 second. Actually, I'm going to stop. So to turn it over to Maria to introduce herself, share a little bit about her SCAD story, and then we'll all come back together and be able to answer your questions.
Ok. Hola. ¿Por dónde empiezo? ¿Cómo conocí SCAD? Resulta que cuando estaba terminando mis estudios de ingeniería de multimedia, yo hice 2 carreras, me nominaron a unos premios en Los Ángeles de Cinema Audio Society y en los premios conocí mucha gente de la industria y también pues personas que estaban todavía estudiando. Y una de las personas que estaba nominada conmigo estudiaba en SCAD. Y también, gracias a los premios y conectar con más personas, me empezaron a seguir personas en redes sociales de Hollywood. Entre esas, un estudiante colombiano de SCAD también, que se había graduado hacía poquito. Y yo la verdad es que no conocía SCAD ni sabía que existía la maestría en diseño sonoro. Entonces, inmediatamente le escribí en redes como, hey, hola, estoy viendo que estás haciendo esta maestría, me gustaría también hacerla, cuéntame de SCAD, cuéntame de todo. Entonces tuvimos una videollamada y me explicó cómo era la universidad, las conexiones que uno podía hacer y me gustó mucho. Entonces ya empecé como a aplicar, hablé con el chair de la carrera, que ya no está, pero en esa época pues hablé con él y súper amable, hablamos como 1 hora, me explicó todo cómo era SCAD, cómo era el programa y así empecé como a aplicar. Enteré de COLFUTURO también, entonces estaba aplicando a la universidad y a la vez a COLFUTURO. Y bueno, empezó la jornada y me vine para SCAD. Es en Savannah, yo estoy en Savannah, no en Atlanta. Atlanta recién abrió el programa también de sonido allá, pero de momento, bueno, la maestría creo que solamente en Savannah. Y fue a abrir pues un mundo gigante, porque no sabía casi nada, ni siquiera yo sabía que era un chair. Para los que no saben, el chair es como el director del programa, el director de sonido. Eh, y empecé a darme cuenta de muchas cosas que tenía SCAD que yo no había dimensionado, como es muchos consejeros, entonces está MEC, que es la que te ayuda a toda la parte de entrar a SCAD, de admisiones y eso, pero cuando ya eres admitido tienes como internacional como 3 consejeros más, una de graduación, otra de success, como career success, que es todo lo que quieres hacer para prácticas, cómo mejorar tu portafolio, cómo hacer una página web, pues como todas esas recomendaciones y también te ayuda a hacer conexiones. Y también tienes consejero internacional. Yo con la que más hablé fue con la consejera internacional, porque te ayuda con toda la parte legal, todas las preguntas que uno tenga. Entonces, eso me gustó mucho de SCAD, que si tienes preguntas, hay muchos asesores dispuestos a ayudarte con todo, a resolver tus preguntas. Puedes ir presencialmente, puedes tener reuniones virtuales. Eso primero. El transporte, yo no, pues yo ahora compré carro porque ahora estoy trabajando, pero durante toda mi carrera yo no tuve carro. Me compré una patineta eléctrica y con la patineta andaba por todas partes. Pero si uno no tiene patineta, están los buses, creo que también hay bicicletas y bueno, mucha gente la verdad compra bicicletas o patinetas y otros simplemente caminan. También puede llegar a todas partes uno caminando. ¿Qué más? Lo que más me gustó de la universidad son las conexiones. Hay muchas conexiones, viene gente muy pro. Me acuerdo que vinieron los que hicieron el sonido de Wolverine y Deadpool para el Savannah Film Festival. Y aparte de estar en dos charlas con ellos, uno tiene la oportunidad de hablar en persona, de hacer conexiones, presentarse, de pronto mostrar página web, hacerles preguntas del medio. También llegó una artista Foley de una empresa muy famosa que se llama Skywalker Sound y te hacen portafolio review, entonces puedes separar una cita con ellos, te miran tu portafolio, te preguntan sobre ti y ella ha trabajado en películas de Disney, de Pixar, de así cosas gigantes que uno no se imagina hacer ese tipo de conexiones. También vino un productor, con él también tuve la oportunidad de almorzar, de tener portafolio review. Entonces, SCAD es muy bueno en eso, trae gente muy pro. Con el Film Festival, me acuerdo que me invitaron al Film Festival de Atlanta, al cual no pude ir porque bueno, no pude ir por otros motivos, pero con todo pago, el transporte, el hotel. Entonces, SCAD da como muchas oportunidades de conectar. Y lo más importante también es unirse a proyectos como en general con otros estudiantes. Entonces lo bueno de SCAD es que yo que estoy en sonido, tienes los de film, los de animación, los de VFX, los de motion graphics, y con todos ellos puedes hacer proyectos como juntos. Me acuerdo que cuando hice mi carrera en Colombia, mi trabajo de grado fue un cortometraje y prácticamente un amigo y yo hicimos todo, desde la preproducción, grabar, todo. Mientras que en SCAD no te tienes que preocupar sino por tu parte que es sonido, porque ya hay otra persona que se encarga de producir, otro departamento de edición, otro departamento de la grabación. Entonces, es bueno porque uno se puede centrar en lo que a uno le gusta, que es el sonido. Y SCAD también tiene todo el tiempo actividades, festivales, conexiones, talleres. Fui a un taller de cómo, pues como un certificado para volar un dron, cosas así. Todo el tiempo hay cosas. La verdad son tantas cosas que uno no alcanza a ir. Uno no alcanza a ir a todo porque todo el tiempo hay actividades. Sí, y pues la amabilidad de la gente. Entonces eso es lo bueno. Los profesores han trabajado en la industria. Y, y pues bueno, algo que yo no sabía, o sea, que no investigué muy bien cuando vine a SCAD, es que uno cree que es un campus y ahí están como todos los edificios, pero son diferentes, la realidad es que son diferentes edificios en un radio de la ciudad. Entonces, por eso están los buses, para uno ir de un edificio a otro. Pero en mi caso no tenía que transportarme tanto porque en sonido los edificios de sonido estaban todos juntos. Entonces yo estaba por ahí. Pues solo caminaba 5 minutos de un edificio a otro. Pero si uno de pronto tiene clase en otra parte de la ciudad, coge uno de los buses de SCAD y lo dejan a uno ahí. O en mi caso con la patineta. Y ya yo creo que SCAD tiene tantos recursos que yo no alcancé a ver muchos de ellos. Pero sí animo a que si van a SCAD aprovechen todos los recursos que hay, las conexiones, se metan en muchos proyectos conjuntos, hay demasiados. eh, y ya, no sé si me faltó decir algo o si... Sí, ok.
Bueno, María Clara, no, pues muchísimas gracias a ti por toda esa información. Yo sé que es muy valiosa para también sumarle a la experiencia de todas las personas que están empezando a conocer Scadia, bueno, para que están viendo como todas las alternativas que tienen de estudio en el exterior. Peter, thank you so much also for your information. So we have a question for you, and it's, what is the minimum GPA that the university accepts?
That's a great question. We don't have a particular number that I can tell you. I mean, we do like to have students who have at least a 3 on a 4-point scale. So this isn't a Colombian 3, it's an American 3. However, if your GPA goes below that, what we do is look then more closely at your professional experience and your portfolio. So sometimes students can get accepted if their grades are lower, if they have very strong experience and a strong portfolio, but I can't give you a specific number.
Okay, perfect. And it's possible to have a job while people are studying in SCAD?
So this is not the SCAD rule, it's the US government rule associated with the visa. So the student visa allows you to work on campus, and we do have on-campus jobs that you can apply for. The visa will also allow you to do paid internships. A lot of our students are able to find internships, and we do require that they be paid internships. And then finally, I spoke a little bit about OPT and STEM OPT, so it allows you to stay and work for some time after you graduate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
I want to add something to that. So I actually did a paid internship with Compassion Christian Church, and it was a really good internship, and they liked my job, so they hired me full-time. So now I'm working full-time with them. So that's great. Yeah, under the CPT, you can do a paid internship. ISSO has to approve it, and then under the OPT now you can have a full-time job. But yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a great story. Yeah, a lot of our students, their internships do lead to full-time offers. So I'm glad that happened for you.
Okay, that's perfect. So, well, we didn't have any more questions for you. So, Peter, Meg, Maria, thank you so much for your time, disposition, and excellent presentation. COLFUTURO, I hope to see you in the next opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. And thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Y a todos nuestros asistentes, también mil gracias por su participación y su interés. Los invitamos a consultar muchísimo más sobre SCAD y sobre todos los eventos que COLFUTURO tiene dispuestos para ustedes. Que tengan una feliz tarde. Goodbye, thank you. Gracias, María Clara, que estés bien.